अच्छा, अब शुरू करेंगे।
Can we cuss on this?
Yes.
लगुड़ा कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता। और बहुत खराब हुआ तो फिर स्पीच ही ब्रेक डाउन हो जाता है, स्टटरिंग शुरू हो जाता है,
इंग्लिश भूल जाते हैं।
इंग्लिश, अरे कुछ भी भूल जाओगे, कुछ नहीं बोल पाओगे भाई। Oh, a guy chased me with a sword once. Try 9 things. Don't give up. Like just don't give up. Try 9 things. If they don't work, try them again. Your core fear is rejection.
Yeah.
I'm a guy, dude. I've been on Bumble and Tinder. I'm not afraid of rejection anymore.
This part about validation very late. Like I'm 47. अब जाके समझा।
अब कभी तो समझा ना, like. Comedy gives me that attention. I think that the parents all missed out on.
When is the right time to seek professional help?
Today. If you have been asking yourself, then now. If the thought has come to you before, then now is the time.
अभी आप comfortable हो? What is chemical load?
It's fuck everybody else.
अच्छा, अब शुरू करेंगे।
वो आप पॉडकास्ट शुरू करेंगे?
हाँ।
Okay.
Earlier कैसे था आपका? How was your बचपन?
Lot of time with myself. Parents worked. Brother was 7 years older.
Okay.
I was raised by the house help. My ayah was there. Who was a huge part of my upbringing. Like there was like having 2 moms basically. Yeah, mom and dad were working, all overachievers everywhere. I had some younger cousins, but we weren't as close to the younger ones as we were to the older ones. So de facto, I was the youngest of the lot whenever, and I think that's where the attention need comes from as well. Like like as you like listen to me, please, like so.
Please.
So yeah, so comedy. Comedy gives me that attention. I think that the parents and all missed out on. But like, yeah, a lot of time to myself, a lot of time to just grow as a person, and then a lot of surprise when I did grow as a person and became myself. Then there was a surprise of like, how are you not like everyone else? And I was like, Arey, but you just let me. I mean, we had hundreds and I think almost 1,000 books at home growing up. Like I could just, like my parents would be at work for 8 hours a day. I had the day. I could read any book I wanted. You know what I mean? There was nobody to stop me. So and even with like as a kid, like TV was cool as long as it was Discovery Channel or whatever, Night Geo or whatever, so I mean it was a lot of time to myself, I think I always had the anxiety and the depression then also, but so far away a concept, so nobody really paid attention to it.
तो आपके हिसाब से anxiety क्या है?
Anxiety क्या है? I mean, मेरे हिसाब से it's more like a manufacturing defect only. I mean, you are misinterpreting signals. जो सिग्नल तुमको पहले दिया था चीता से बचने के लिए, वो तुम अभी गलती से गाड़ी पे अप्लाई कर रहे हो. You know what I mean? Like idea anxiety का वो जो अंदर से, can we cuss on this?
Yes.
Okay, तो अंदर से फटता है ना anxiety.
A star podcast.
तो वो जो like I mean जो डर है, जो वो कहाँ से आ रहा है वो डर? तुम्हें क्यों पैरानॉइड लग रहा है? तुम्हें क्यों अपना हाइपर अलर्टनेस लग रहा है? तुम्हें ज्यादा ही सुनाई दे रहा है, सबसे ज्यादा सुनाई दे रहा है? इट्स बिकॉज तुम्हारा बॉडी कॉन्स्टेंटली वो वाले मोड में है कि कुछ भी हो सकता है, डेंजर हो सकता है, डेंजर हो सकता है, पर नहीं है कोई डेंजर अभी मॉडर्न लाइफ में. सो देन दैट गेट्स रिप्लेस विद अदर थिंग्स. तो जैसे कि बहुत सारे लोग हैं तो एंग्जाइटी हो गया, बहुत सारा आवाज़ है तो एंग्जाइटी हो गया, कुछ बाहर जाना एंग्जाइटी हो गया, किसी से बात करना एंग्जाइटी हो गया. तो और फिर चीज़ें एक साथ दे स्टार्ट टाइंग ईच अदर एंड देन इट बिकम्स अ ह्यूज मेस ऑफ कहाँ शुरू होता है कहाँ खत्म होता है पता नहीं चलता. बट इन माई अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ इट बेसिकली इनपुट अगर 2 आ रहा है तो तुम्हारा बॉडी उसको 8 समझ रहा है, जो है नहीं 8. तुम्हारे दोस्त ने बोला क्या यार, अभी वो उसने क्या यार 2 पे ही बोला है, पर तुम 8 ले रहे हो उसको. दैट्स व्हाट एंग्जाइटी इज.
एंड आपको कैसे पता चलता है कि आप एंजाइटी एक्सपीरियंस कर रहे हैं?
यूजुअली इंक्रीज हार्ट रेट, स्वेटिंग, लाइक बेस एंग्जाइटी तो मेरा रहता ही है, पूरा दिन रहता है. सो यू विल सी माय हैंड्स ऑलवेज स्वेटिंग. हाँ, that's also smoking, but that's but it's also like anxiety, like constantly there is anxiety. New space, don't know anxiety. Body is always looking for reasons. तो हर चीज से होता है, मेरे को तो हर चीज से होता है और कॉन्स्टेंटली होता है और पता चलता है क्योंकि हार्ट रेट बढ़ गया है, पसीना आने लगा है. अगर बहुत खराब हुआ तो फिर स्पीच ही ब्रेक डाउन हो जाता है, स्टटरिंग शुरू हो जाता है,
इंग्लिश भूल जाते हैं हम.
इंग्लिश, अरे कुछ भी भूल जाओगे, कुछ नहीं बोल पाओगे भाई. एंड द वर्स्ट इज यू विल स्टटर बिकॉज यू डोंट स्टटर, राइट. लाइक तुम्हें पता है एग्जैक्टली क्यों हो रहा है. ये हकला रहे हो तुम रैंडमली दोपहर को, या फिर बीवी से लड़ रहे हो और अब आधा घंटे से लड़ रहे हो और फाइनली ब्रेक थ्रू होने वाला है और अब तुम हकलाने लगे हो क्योंकि एंग्जाइटी वो लेवल पे आ गया है. तो इट गेट्स रियली फ्रस्ट्रेटिंग. यू कांट इवन व्हाट्स द वर्ड फॉर इट, लाइक तुम कुछ कर नहीं सकते एक्सेप्ट फॉर स्टॉप, कूल डाउन और फिर ट्राई अगेन. सो दैट वे इट्स दिस थिंग. बट या अभी बहुत टाइम से इतना हुआ नहीं है. द लास्ट पैनिक अटैक इज लाइक द पीक ऑफ इट. जब ज्यादा ही हो गया तो फिर तुम इमोबाइल हो गए, कोने में बैठ गए. कोई कोई लोग तो अपने आप को मुंह तूत देते हैं. लाइक इट्स people will pee themselves, like, yeah, because you lose control, like you physically lose control of your body in that moment. The breathing goes too high, you know, cold sweats start happening, and you think you're going to die basically. So yeah, so that is the extreme. But for the most part, it's just this sense of, why did you say, why did they say that, what did they say, why did they say, why they don't like me, they hate me, they must hate me, you know. It's that chota things are the daily things.
Now I want to move forward. When you figured this, what was the process you went through to actually discover, this is anxiety I'm going through? This is what I need to go through. And that's not an easy process. Like you talked about finding the right psychologist.
So that was a big part of it, because the first psychiatrist really messed me up for several years, and I didn't go to therapy for several years after, because it's not like I could afford it either, right? Like I had to borrow money from my parents. Now how do you keep borrowing that much money every week to go to a therapist? So I had to wait to get that financial independence, or some fractional financial independence, to afford that one aspect of my life. Then for 4-5 years regularly just went to therapy, did what she said.
Took you 5 years?
Yeah. In fact, when I went for the reality show, just before that was my last ever therapy session. When my therapist said, you're done now, you don't need to come, I think you have all the tools to handle life yourself. And I went to the show, and on the second or third day of the show, I had my first panic attack in 6 years. So like इतना चोदू फील हुआ ना कि लाइक मैं क्यों इतना मेहनत किया. फिर अगर ऐसा फर्स्ट साइन ऑफ एंजाइटी एंड आई ब्रेक डाउन, so like, but then I won it, so I was like, fine, it's okay. I have money to pay for therapy for several years now.
But talk to me a little bit about that journey, because
no, it's so hard to explain, because it's self-observation, you know, and
but that itself could be like a mind-boggling thing, right?
हाँ, पर उसमें कुछ टाइमलाइन नहीं समझ में आता कि मैंने कब क्या रियलाइज किया, मैंने कब क्या अप्लाई किया, मेरे को नहीं पता है. Just I know the current state of being, and I know moments of the past state of being, you know.
I want to go back to your early years. Comedy कैसे शुरू किया? I've read that your brother was instrumental in it, but you know, keep all that aside. I'll tell you where I'm coming from. जब हम स्टेज पे जाके बात करते हैं ना, and there are like 1,000 people sitting, they're very serious faces. There's like 2,000 eyes looking at you, and this is broad daylight. You're standing on your stage. When you're making a presentation, at least you can practice.
Yeah.
You practice.
With comedy also you practice, but in front of an audience.
तुम तो जोक मारते हो, वहां से हंसेगा या ना हंसेगा, एक तो सक्सेस हो जाएगा, नहीं हंसेंगे तो लेसन हो जाएगा. पर the first time you go there, you need to have some guts, and you too went on tour also.
Yeah, but first time 2011, it's not like I had never done public speaking. I knew what it was like in school and all. I had done extempore speech competition and all that, right?
You were doing those things.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I really got the, I mean, if I was smart enough, I would have seen that as the first indication. Perhaps there were many indications over the years that I was funny.
You're not smart enough.
No, I don't think I'm very smart. I think I appear very smart because I spend a lot of time appearing very smart. Like, you know what I mean? Like I can't learn anything quickly. I'm very slow at learning. So I need to do the same thing cooking, for example. My way of cooking is not कि मैं रेसिपी देख के नहीं सीख सकता है. मैं वो चीज़ पे एक हफ्ता निकालेगा. फिर जो मैं भिंडी बनाएगा ना, it will change your life. But I need that much time to make that bhindi. So same with my comedy, same with most things in life. I'm just really slow, and I take my own time. And earlier I used to try to run and catch up with people and all. But now I've realized abhi hai if I can be this dumb and still sound this smart, and not by talking shit, but by actually knowing things that I talk about. The slowness doesn't come from my inability; it comes from my thoroughness almost.
Yeah.
So that way, comedy is not that scary to me. Like because what are you afraid of really? Is that they won't laugh? No, you're afraid of being rejected. That's the fear.
But then them not laughing is rejection.
No, why Karuna? Your core fear is rejection.
Yeah.
I'm a guy, dude. I've been on Bumble and Tinder. I'm not afraid of rejection anymore. Like, and I've failed so much in so many varying public situations in my life that now that doesn't scare me anymore.
What's the craziest one?
Oh man, my parents convinced me to. I know the craziest. You think I'll ever forget it? So, my parents are part of a Gujarati literature group. I guess the word for it is, I don't know, Samaj ko kya bolte? Yeah, group na, like they organize literary programs basically. So once they did a comedy thing and literary society, that's the word they use for it. Yeah, whatever. But so they had a comedy thing, Gujarati thing, and they're all like nobody has brown, black, nothing hair. It's all white hair. Like the whole room is hairless or white hair. Okay. And I'm the wrong person for this. I've told my mom on day one, I'm the wrong person for this. Do not involve me. Keep me as far away from this as you can. This is not going to end well. And she's like, no, you have to do it. We've signed you up. You're doing it. I flew from a medical. I was doing a college show, I think in Jabalpur or some corner. Flew to Bombay. Landed at 3 in the morning. Went to my friend Naveen's house because I was so pissed off at my parents, I didn't want to go home. Went to my friend Naveen's house, had a smoke. And Naveen bichara mere liye utha subah 4 baje is a big deal. Then went to this show and then finished the show and flew back to Delhi to another college show. Okay. So I went from absolute loving public adoration to this show where I got, believe it or not, heckled off stage by senior citizens. I was heckled off stage by people my grandfather's age with my entire family watching because all of them came to watch. Uncles, aunts, grandparents, siblings, cousins, everybody के सामने. तो जितना इससे बड़ा failure क्या हो सकता है? They gave me a check when I got out. They gave me 7,000 rupees का check. And on my way home, I tore it up. I sat on the footpath and I cried for 10 minutes. And then I cleaned myself up and I said, you know what? After this, I go back on stage and I do the thing I love doing. So life will be okay again. But like, तोड़ देता है वो तुमको. Like it really hurts you. Like emotionally it really. And I remember that show that night was at Ames in Delhi. And it was such a great gig that night. Because all that rage and feeling, all the negative feelings, they all got converted into these positive feelings on stage. It became really magical because of that. I forgot what the question was, but yeah.
That was the craziest one.
हाँ ये वाला तो सबसे खराब. Once a guy chased me with a sword once in Jamshedpur at a private event. I made fun of, so like when you do private events, you make fun of, so it's easy, right? Like, because the cousins know you, right? The parent generation doesn't know you. The grandparents generation definitely doesn't know you. So you are playing to the kids. So what you do is you talk to the kids thoroughly and you say, okay, which cousin is the studious one? Which cousin is the forever single one? Whatever, right? So I made a joke about one guy saying, "Ye forever single." Everybody laughs and claps. And then I see this guy get up in the back row and pull a sword and just start walking at me. And I'm like, what is, huh? Like, because how can your brain process that a man is walking at you with a sword from an audience? There's no situation in life has prepared me for this. So I'm like, I'm moving on to the next joke and the guy stops my joke. He sees me see him and I do the next joke and he suddenly goes, hey, joke kyun kar raha hai? And I'm like, oh, so he did want me to stop at this point. So I'm like, okay, thank you so much. I put the mic, I fuck off. I ran off stage, okay? I ran down, I ran around. I'm fucking running. This guy's chasing. I can hear his footsteps behind me. He's cussing at me, saying, idhar aa, idhar aa, idhar aa. I run, I go around a corner and I hide inside an ATM. Because like, I'm like, camera hai na, at least idhar. So, some kind of, at least there'll be proof of my death. So,
Proof of your death.
I'm hiding between two ATM machines shadily, okay? The guy, this guy, he runs past the thing. And then behind him, like in one jeep, all the kids come, the cousins come, they're laughing. And I see them, so I come out and I'm like, boss, kya ho raha hai? And they are acting like I'm the idiot here. Like, they're like, yo, dude, you're so weird, dude. Who does this, dude? I'm like, what? What did you want me to do? You wanted me to stand my ground? What was I supposed to do? Use the mic stand as a fucking spear or some shit? Like alright, he's just hot-headed, yaar. It's okay, yaar. Same ना, जी घबराता है, गुस्सा आता है इसको. उसका एंकर इश्यूज किसी ने एक्नॉलेज नहीं किया उसके खानदान में अभी तक.
तो कभी उसके बाद डिसाइड किया ये ऐसा बाउंड्रीज लगाएंगे?
नहीं रे, कुछ नहीं फर्क पड़ता, कुछ नहीं कर सकते तुम. ये देश में क्या क्या करोगे तुम? छोड़ो ना, फिर डाल नहीं पाएंगे.
नहीं जाना है.
हाँ भाई, रूल ऑफ लॉ ही नहीं है, तुम क्या बात कर रहे हो? ऐसा नहीं होता है. Then I did a reality show in the middle. That was fun.
What, like Big Boss?
No, Netflix, Social Currency. Yeah, it was weird. I was stuck in a house with influencers for 21 days.
With your anxiety?
Yeah. 7 influencers and me.
Oh.
I wanted to put my...
What was it like?
It was weird. It was very weird.
Huh? He won it. Oh, he won it?
Yeah, I won it.
Oh, really?
It was okay.
Must have been a mind fuck inside.
It was a mind... Yeah, influencers aren't people. They're not people like we imagine people. Like, when you imagine a person, you imagine what an influencer is not. I'm sorry, I'm being very vague, but... Like, you know how, like, we met and we started talking downstairs. We just spoke, right? Like, we spoke and then... You know how, like, we spoke... You know, I can't explain this, but, like, you know how conversations work? Like, you know, like, I say something.
Yeah.
And then you say something. And then I say something. And then you say something. And while we're saying these things, they are usually connected to each other.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm saying my thing and you know you're on camera, so you just say the thing you wanted to say on camera.
Yeah.
So no real conversation is possible. No third layer of conversation possible. Even the smart ones, actually, it was kind of disappointing and depressing at the same time, because I was like, wow, these are my contemporaries. Like,
but then, as a person, you seek connections.
Yeah, and there's no way to connect. And the connections are also fake because they're all on camera. I was just being myself. Huh?
How did you win? Because that must have been a space which is like so out of your...
But it's not that hard. Like, see, I'm a comedian. We are the most resourceful artists in the world. That's why we make money, unlike musicians and poets and shit. Okay? The comedians, we are a different breed. We are very good at adapting. All the different things that this podcast needs, I can do myself. Because over the years, I didn't have money for someone to do them for me. So I learned to do them myself. Right? When the pandemic happened, we could have sat on our asses and been like, oh, we're all fucking broke now. But we didn't. We started doing Zoom shows. We started doing workshops. We found 10 different things to make money and keep ourselves alive. We are the fucking scourge of human. Like, comics are cockroaches. Very difficult to kill us. These influencers, उनका algo बदल के उनका गन फट के हाथ में आ जाता है. They can't do shit after that. They'll complain for 6 years saying मेरा reel नहीं चल रहा है, मेरा reel नहीं चल रहा है. हाँ नहीं चल रहा है, बहुत सकता नया करना है कुछ तो फिर. You just so busy following the fucking trend, you didn't realize you had to actually be good at something to sell me something. No, that's the problem. Sachin sells me Luminous का battery, but वो century मारता था एक time पे. You remember Sachin, right? You know Sachin. That's the reason you know Sachin. Why do you know these influencers? What have they done for you to know them? Nothing. They've done nothing. They danced on some song that somebody else made. Fuck off. They're not real creative people. They're just what the market created because they could then sidestep artists. Influencers are easy, malleable, no principles, no fucking nothing. Paisa do, main bech ke dega. That's all they care about. So, I mean, it was very weird.
Are all like that?
Huh?
Are all like that?
I mean, I've had a very difficult time meeting anyone who's not like that. Let me put it that way. I mean, to say that everyone is like that is obvious generalization, and there's no way to prove or disprove it. But the people I have met, very difficult to have real conversations with them. They get really uncomfortable about originality, royalty, or owning things, you know, because they're all stealing things constantly. A lot of my comedian friends have now not allowed their influencer friends to come to shows. Because what they do in the show is a reel in fucking 3 days. Because these guys don't understand ownership of ideas at all. IP तो उनके culture में है ही नहीं ना. How much IP violation does Instagram allow on a daily basis? There's a good experiment for this. If you're sitting at home, open your Instagram right now. Okay? Don't pause the video because you need to hear the instructions, dummy. Now, go to your explore page and just randomly start scrolling through the reels, okay? And tell me how many of those reels out of the first 15 reels you see are posted from the original account that made the reel. They're not. They're posted by aggregator accounts and random other accounts. है ना? खुला चोरी हो रहा है आईपी का और किसी को कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा है. तो ये इन्फ्लुएंसर लोग से तो मैं दूर रहता हूँ. The whole industry, the whole culture is Something that I'd rather, like there's a line in the sand for me. There are things that move the world towards empathy. There are things that move the world away from empathy. These people move the world away from empathy. They only care, how much they care is skin deep, because their creams can't go any deeper. That's it. And whatever, or give it 6 months. They'll tell you nice things and then they'll sell a course in well-being.
So I can't turn off my mind at night.
Yeah.
How do I do that?
That's easy. That's you're doing it all wrong. Everyone's, see, again, like your brain is not a brain if you have anxiety. It's still a brain. So, I mean, listen to Huberman, listen to anybody, dude. Like, there are enough methods and more. This thing started off as, my first major symptom was anxiety. So, from age, I would say right around puberty, so 12, 13 to maybe 20, 19-ish, I had proper insomnia. I really owe everything I am today to the insomnia, because I couldn't sleep. So what did I do? I had one of the few kids lucky enough to have a broadband connection. So I got the internet, I got torrenting and Wikipedia and all of these beautiful things, and the night was like my own space to grow as a person, you know. So I managed to grow a lot. There was still not much mental health stuff then, but at least I found a lot of art and a lot of science that I could, and history that I could get into and really like sink my teeth into and be like, wow, ये करने लायक है. School में मैं जो पढ़ रहा हूँ उसमें कोई point ही नहीं है. So I mean, it was a problem until it stopped being a problem one fine day. You know what I mean? Like until I realized ki, okay, I'm doing like 9 things wrong here. Yeah. If I don't do any of these 9 things, then there is at least like a 60-40% chance of sleeping as opposed to a 10-90 chance of sleeping, you know. So I just did it with that. Now, what I've realized, the best thing you can do, bro, is go running. Just like exhaust yourself physically.
Get yourself tired.
Get an exercise in the day. I've never exercised and I regret it so much now, because it's like, if I could just like have that habit of 45 minutes a day, you know, it'll make a huge difference. You will get tired. You will, like, your body needs things to function, and we're not giving it the things it needs to function. And people will go straight and do the, what is that called? The melatonin? No, that's something else. What's the dawa you take to sleep? The
sleeping pill?
Nah, there's a hormone you take, right? It starts with an M only. They keep Instagram में advertise आता रहता है बार-बार. It's like a little breath mint, you keep it on your tongue, dissolves and makes you fall asleep early. Oh. So there's always like a medical cure to it, right? Like there's a medical cure to everything. But then the problem is that, I mean, not to get into the medical intricacies of it because I'm not a doctor, but I spoke to so many doctors about it. And they were like, yeah, don't. Like, just find a way to do it naturally. That's going to be the best way. Try 9 things. Don't give up. Like, just don't give up. Try 9 things. If they don't work, try them again. You know. For me, it's also, marriage has really helped, because like when your wife goes to sleep, it's assumed that you have to go to sleep. Like, it's like, मैं जा रही हूँ, and you're like, okay, bye. And she's like, bye. And you're like, oh, हाँ, नहीं, मैं भी आ रहा हूँ. 2 मिनट में आ रहा हूँ.
मेरी problem यही है. He goes to sleep and he puts his head like this and patak se सो जाता है. हाँ. मेरे को नहीं आता है नींद.
Yeah, actually my partner also has a tough time sleeping, but like for us it's become a cue where if one of us is sleeping, then might as well. Yeah. Also, I think we're very attached. That is another thing that helps, because when you have a physical person, oxytocin is flowing in your system, you're feeling great. Smell your partner and go to sleep chupchap. Don't think too much.
1 साल हुआ है ना.
हाँ, मतलब प्रॉब्ली 5 साल बाद कुछ और ट्राई करना पड़ेगा ना, फिर बच्चे को पकड़ के सोऊंगा. मतलब कुछ तो करना पड़ेगा ना. Like, the assumption here is, like, this is what everyone who's married is telling me, right? All the positive feelings I'm feeling about marriage are going to go away. That's what I've been told. That's all I've gotten in the last 1 year. But that's okay when it goes. That's why people have kids, I guess.
Marriage is a lovely thing.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of work as well. It's a lot of hard work.
What isn't? Nothing is easy. Your heart has to beat every day. Every day. Your heart can't take an off. You know, when your heart takes an off, people panic. Iska dil band ho gaya, hey. So everything is hard only. Yeah? Think of your heart. Whenever you are thinking that life is too much work, think of your heart. Fucking even when you're asleep, it's beating. Boss, at least you get to sleep. Your heart is not complete. Yeah. And all you do is smoke fucking cigarettes on top. So like, it's doable. I think the fundamental difference when it comes to mental health for me is it environment or is it obstacle? You have to understand the difference between these two things. You know, we humans like to pose that we are masters of our environment. We are not masters of the environment. If we were masters of the environment wouldn't be fucked right now. Yeah. We are masters of adapting to the environment. When we went to cold places, we didn't make it warmer. We wore more clothes. Yeah. Okay, so it's like with depression. Depression is not going to go away. It's not obstacle. It's environment. It's going to be there forever, right? So as long as I keep treating it like an obstacle, when I get over the obstacle and the depression is still there, I'm going to feel worse.
Yeah.
But then when I tell myself, okay, you know what? Maybe my shade of sky is a little bluer than everyone else's shade of sky. You know, so where they see beautiful sunset colors, I see slightly sadder sunset colors. That's okay. What do I do? That's my nature of this. So if anything, you know exactly what the problem is. Now you can go and look for more joy. You know what I mean? So like my wife though always gets like, because I get so happy at such random stuff constantly that she's like, you're like a kid. And I'm like, I don't mind it. I'd much rather be a kid because I'm much happier through the course of the day, you know. Like, I'd rather laugh at the fart sound than be an adult and be like, oh, I'm too cool for this. Because I know I need that extra laugh more than the average adult probably does.
And I think when you talk about depression and anxiety, I feel people who are going through it are much more kinder. They're more
more emphatic. I think just more emphatic, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know whether the depression is because they're more emphatic.
Yeah.
Because the more emphatic you are, the more there are things to be sad about. You know? So yeah, it's that. But I think also now more than ever, there is like this whole social media cloud of people who are just like fucking mental health warriors for followers. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it throws you off. It lets you sit in it. You can't sit in it. You know, like I didn't have the best mental health journey in my life. Everyone from my friends to family to co-workers was kind of like, oh, you're not depressed. It's just, you know, whatever the fuck. And what's the right way to put this? It's definitely not a good thing, but at least at the same time, it made me not like take my illness and I are not the same thing. You know what I mean? My illness is not an excuse for me to sit at home and be like, take a mental health day, man. I don't give a fuck. But like at some point, you need to get work done. Yeah. And at some point, you need to admit and accept the fact that you have to get work done despite the depression.
In spite of
right? The plumber doesn't get a choice.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
Yeah.
So then how do you get a choice? Yeah. You shouldn't get a choice. Just like, I know it's like shitty. That's another fun thing with my life is that everything is planned 2 months in advance. Like we planned this, 1.5 months ago?
Yeah.
So no matter what my mental health is today, I still have to come do this interview. And that also helps a lot. I mean, it can be bad in cases of burnouts because if the day I realize I have a burnout, I have to wait 2 months to be like, because I'm planning next 2 months ke baad ka. So I'm like, okay, that's when the break will be. Now all these past commitments will get done. But at the same time, it's also like, I just refuse to let myself wallow in it. I think after being married also, there was somebody who would handle me wallowing in it. And that was such a huge temptation initially to just slip into that. Because then it's like, yeah, she's there, na? So the house will get cleaned, the food will be there, the clothes will get washed. But now it's like undue pressure on her because on one hand, morally, she knows that, okay, I should be helping him right now. Yeah. But as a human being, she's like, fucking get off your ass, dude, and stop playing video games. Yeah. But like, so, you know, I think it's about, I mean, take the illness seriously, but then it's not you.
Yeah. So as you started, you decided to face the fear.
With all things. You
seem to...
Yeah. I was so suicidal throughout my early years that so many times I would have, you know, I wouldn't go to a ledge. Because I was like, I might not be able to control myself. You know what I mean? And I felt like the only way to break out of that was to go skydiving. So I did skydiving. I went and I was at the edge of the plane and the guy was like, are you ready? I'm like, chalna. Like, I'm not your average tourist, you know, I'm not excited about this. I want to get this done with because I've been fantasizing about this in my head when I'm depressed, saying this will feel better. You know, I want to know how good it will feel. And I'll tell you the best part about skydiving. You know the best part about skydiving? When the parachute opens. Because that's when you know you're not going to die. Yes. Until that 50-50 is really scary. It's exhilarating. But if I had to fall for 3 more seconds also, I would have looked at the guy and said, kholte kya? Like, abhi dar lag raha hai thoda.
मैंने पहली बार LA में किया था. उसके बाद दूसरी बार न्यूजीलैंड में किया. One was 12,000 or something. The other one was 9,000.
9 is very scary.
9 is scary.
9 is way scarier because you're way closer to the ground.
Yeah. 9 was like, oh God, what is happening here? When will this open?
I did the bungee swing in Nepal right now. Tallest bungee swing in the world, natural bungee swing. And it was like, and all my friends are like, but aren't you scared? I'm like, that's the point. You are scared. You're scared while you fall also. But when you see that GoPro footage of yourself and your look goes from absolute fear to exhilaration, that's what you are living for. You know what I mean? It's so stupid as it sounds. That dar ke aage jeet thing is a real thing. Right after fear is exhilaration. It's right there. Just take that step.
What you're saying is, there will be fear when you're going through anxiety, whatever is your fear.
Yeah, fear is normal. Fear means...
Accept it.
If you are never afraid, you should be scared. Yeah. It's like in every third Hollywood movie, that line is there. No, ki, what? Bravery is not being afraid. It is doing it despite being afraid. Like, but that's kind of...
What can I do if I feel my anxiety is escalating into a panic attack?
Oh... Okay, again, these are all great questions for a psychologist, but as a comedian, I can only tell you what I do. There are these things called grounding exercises, okay? Several exist in the world. Google it, take your pick. Take a pick. Just see which one works for you. For me... Huh?
This one.
No. So grounding exercises can be, for example, if your friend... And this is best administered by another person, you know what I mean? Better to have someone else do it than do it yourself, but... great one is distract yourself with a task. So for example, give yourself not like a work task or anything, but like say like, okay, I want to spot 5 blue things in this room right now. So now my brain is like, oh, because like your pattern monkey fucking brain, it's like exciting. Oh wow, new thing to do. So like blue. Abhi isme kho gaya, 2 seconds ke to bhul gaya na. It's what you do with a toddler, no, when he's crying. अच्छा तुझे पता है मम्मी ने क्या बोला था उस दिन है रोना immediately the crying stops, right? Like because the curiosity trumps the feeling immediately. So similarly, there are a lot of different ones, like there are counting exercises you can do, breathing exercises you can do. Over course of trial and error, you will find that perfect combination of what helps at what time. Like if I have pre-show anxiety, I have a separate playlist. Or if I have airport anxiety, I have a separate way to deal with airport wala anxiety, which is a lot in my life. Because I'm at airports a lot. So, as a family function ka anxiety, my idea of family function anxiety used to be to go and smoke, which is a very bad idea because now everyone in the family function knows you smoke. Yeah. You know? So then I found another game where I would just like get goofier and goofier and goofier to the point where everyone would just get tired of my goofy jokes. You know, so I would force myself into the thing that made me anxious and make fun of everyone I was anxious about.
I have a problem with silence.
It depends on your comfort with the other person. I think, like, I don't know, with your partner, it's easier to have silences.
At home, it's okay. But if I go to a room and it's too quiet, I feel like it's my responsibility.
But that's why you're a podcast host.
यार फट रही है यहाँ पे.
हाँ पर silence नहीं जमता है ना तुमको तो तुम handle कर लोगे. Like you think about it ना, like Michael Phelps is the swimming guy, right? Is that the swimming guy? He has webbed toes, dude. It's a deformity. There's no other word for it. It's a deformity. But it makes him like the best swimmer ever. So sometimes the things that are bad, you know, they're actually, you can turn them around and make, like I am this observant because of the anxiety, right? I'm constantly looking at every detail of every person around me because in my brain, in my like reptilian brain or whatever, I think they're a threat, like, you know what I mean? So when I realize I can turn that around to be like, then like, you know, when I saw you, I noticed your dress first. Yeah. I could have been like looking for aggression, you know, things, but I was like, fuck that, like, abhi hai observant to dress dekhna achhe se. You know, so it makes such a big difference in my life and it changes how I interact with the things that give me anxiety as well. So yeah, that you can do.
So when you're going through this anxiety and you jumped into this, post that, do you then draw boundaries for yourself because you realize that ऐसे करने से थोड़ा ज़्यादा बढ़ जाता है मेरा, या you will say अच्छा इसको टेस्ट करते हैं कितना बढ़िया है ये बाउंड्री, कितना दूर तक जाता है. बिल्कुल. How do you go about?
No, you only realize the boundary when you break it. There's no other way. You can always go further than you think. And you can always do more than you think. You can always be better than you think you can be.
Have you invalidated any of your big boundaries?
Almost everyone. Are you kidding me? I used to not leave the house to go to college lectures. I'm doing strangers के साथ बैठ के मैं room में podcast कर रहा हूँ. Like it's a, I'm like, whenever I get run out of motivation, I just do a 10-year comparison. And I'm like, dude, what are you saying कि growth नहीं? कितना growth है? And you know, the anxiety makes you an asshole. Because you're overcompensating, right? You're trying to be the big cock because like you're feeling so insecure all the time. So once that goes away, you know, it's replaced by what my generation calls big dick energy. You know, it's like, it's big dick ही बोल सकते हैं अभी उसके लिए कोई और नाम है.
बड़ा लंड एनर्जी क्या
हाँ एनर्जी मतलब मास एक्सेलरेट नहीं
नहीं
कुछ और ही है ना फॉर्मूला.
इंग्लिश में पता है, हिंदी में क्या बोलते हैं?
शक्ति, बड़ा लंड शक्ति.
Oh.
Sounds very off. Yeah. But the idea is essentially that I am not worried about how big my dick is anymore in life. I am not worried about how many tickets I sell compared to anyone else.
Yeah.
I am only comparing myself to myself last year.
What you were before.
Yeah, that's the only valid. My dad told me this years ago. It is the truest thing I've ever heard. He said life is a very long race and you are not running against anyone but yourself. You are your only competition and your only measure of improvement or what's the opposite of improvement? Or whatever, derailment or whatever is you. They are the only option. So fuck other people. You know, when selfies started, we used to make fun of people. Remember, we used to make fun of people who took selfies like they're dumb, and now it's become normal.
Yeah.
We normalize that behavior. You know what I mean? And it's okay for gay marriage, but I still don't know how we're okay with selfies. So fucking narcissistic. The most narcissistic thing in the world, to take a selfie and not even send it to anyone, to keep it on your phone. How narcissistic can you be? देख क्या हमें मस्त लग रहा है आज इस मोमेंट में. लौड़ा कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है.
अब फिल्टर भी है.
फिल्टर भी है ताकि तुम्हें खुद को दिखना ही ना पड़े. गलती से भी तुम्हें तुम्हारा सच ना दिख जाए. हम हमें दे नोट fucking mirrors with filters now.
Yeah,
okay.
Seriously.
The number of times where I've met somebody with makeup and without makeup and been unable to recognize them. And not just women, yeah, men like as well, like you know the unfairer race. So different. पता ही ना चले आदमी से मैं भाई पूरा 3 शेड अलग.
Acha, I'll come back. Relationships. When you go through this, you talked about in the beginning. It's a difficult thing to go through relationships.
Yeah.
Not just for you, for the other person as well.
More for the other person.
Right.
Yeah.
So is it hot? You're feeling hot?
No, I finally found the 4th blue thing.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, where is
1,
the
2,
fourth?
3, 4.
2 कहाँ है? 1 है.
नीचे.
नीचे क्या है? Oh, 1, 2, 3. Oh. So tell me a little bit about your journey with relationships, because that must have been hard.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, like when you're used to being the center of attention, it's even worse. Because you end up making it about yourself, and it's really never about yourself.
Little more about, what do you mean by about yourself?
It's like I will put myself in, like when you're having, okay, where do fights start? There's something someone's doing that's irking you, right? But like, and when you get irked and you lash out, your justification is I've been irked so much to lash out. But then the other person lashing out is also driven by the exact same mechanism, right? Like they've been annoyed to the point where they're lashing out. Yeah. So you don't think of that.
Yeah, you're only thinking of yourself.
You're just like, मैं कितना काम करता हूँ फिर भी तुम ऐसा कर रहे हो. And there's also this thing of, initially you think if someone loves you, then they'll never be annoyed of you. But it's the opposite. It's like you don't get annoyed at random people. You get annoyed at the ones you love, because they're like, तू मेरा है और तू ऐसा गांड-मस्ती क्यों कर रहा है?
Expectation होता है.
So वो बहुत बड़ा difference है, I think. Other than that, I've realized not to take too much advice from people. Like, this doesn't help. You and your partner are a separate thing. You know, I got dumb because somebody took advice from outside the relationship. But मेरे लिए तो personally, like, I feel like I'd rather not. Like, I'll vent to friends, but venting also, again, venting is such a dangerous thing, right? Because we all get caught up in venting. We never actually take that step after the venting, which is dealing with the problem. So then you're not dealing, you're delaying. It's just going to come up again. Yeah. You just let it out right now, it's going to come up. It's like Me Too 90s में भी हुआ था, Hollywood में, ठीक है? कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ा. तो वापस क्या अभी vent करके छोड़ दिया हमने. The structures and the systems in place didn't change at all. So you never got to the dealing point, because social media doesn't want you to deal. It just wants you to vent content. बीच में देखो cream बेच दिया तुमको चुपचाप. That's how it works. So, I mean, my thing is this, if I'm going to, especially if I'm going to vent to a friend, then my mental note is, this means it has to be spoken about at home and it needs to be addressed, because if it's pissing me off so much that I'm going and talking to a third person about it, then it's something that needs, Plus, like, just anxiety makes it so, like, it warps your perception, right? So you're constantly looking for validation. I realized initially I used to think that asking for validation makes me weak or whatever in a relationship. But I realized after a point that this is what I need now. What do I do? If I need water, I'm not going to say, I'm not going to not say, give me water. Na? So some days I'll go to my wife and I'll be like, Sun ja, I love you, bol 5-6 baar mere ko pakad ke, mere ko chahiye aaj. Or like, I need I need to know that you're proud of me today. Like, because today I am not very proud of myself. So then, being vocal about that makes the world of difference.
But I recognized the importance of knowing this part about validation very late. Like I'm 47. अब जाके समझा.
अब कभी तो समझा ना like.
तो इतना साल and then I realized बहुत लोगों को ये पता भी नहीं होता है कि किस चीज का validation सीख कर रहे हैं.
हाँ. और वो पर कैसे पता होगा ना, क्योंकि तुम्हारा पूरा environment तुमको बाहर की तरफ खींच रहा है. Nothing wants you to go into yourself. Right? The minute you spend 2 seconds with yourself and you have to really think about something, you go for your phone. So that's why, I don't blame people for not having empathy. I think I often find myself blaming myself for not having patience instead. If I have the patience, then I can trump the other person's lack of empathy any day. Eventually, I will break through. Because this is what I tell my wife also, is that you're very unfortunate because I will not give up only. I'm not going to go and I'm not going to be like, fucking, let's end this relation. Never going to happen. You're stuck. Initially, though, I think she would not communicate nearly as much as she does now. We've taken great leaps and strides in the 1 year. But I remember right after we got married, one day I sat down and told her, I said, Dekh, bas, kitna, kab tak dabayegi cheez? Because I'm not a fling. I'm here only now. Every day I'll wake up next to you. What will you do? Kab tak pakad ke rakhegi? Then one day it will pile up and you'll be like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore because the threads have become so intertwined, you can't sit and, clean up the mess anymore. Don't let it get to that point.
But it's important to know where you're validating, what you're validating,
and
from whom you're seeking validation. That's also...
Yeah. Audience se to nahi chahiye validation. Also, I think for people who are in the public sphere, everyone is kind of an asshole about this, where everyone loves the amazing nice things that are said to them and everyone hates the really mean things that are said to them, even though they know that neither are true. Right? I know I'm not the best comedian in the world. I know I'm not the worst comedian in the world. I know that both of these people are wrong. And both of them are being more emotionally driven than they are being objectively driven. So it's just the middle stuff that you take seriously. Everything else just ignore.
And when you go through this and you want to come back to talk about it, you said, no, you went out, but I want to come back home and have this conversation. बैठ के सोच के उसके बाद जाना है कि जो स्थिति में है वैसे ही जाओगे?
नहीं, cool down. But listen, I'm still figuring this one out. So you tell me what happens when you try it at home. But I've had mixed success rate in both places. क्योंकि just because you calm down and went doesn't mean you won't flare up again.
वहाँ कुछ बोलेगा तो
फिर से फट जाओगे. And it's like both of us have the same thing where if one of us raises our voice, then the other one gets really annoyed. But we're both constantly raising our voice as well.
Yes.
So it's pretty pointless to have that. Yes. It's also very important to go to the tattva of it, go to the core of it. What is the core of the problem? Fuck the other shit. The other shit is secondary. You don't put the clothes is not the problem. There is something else that's underlying that is the problem. Do you feel that you are not working as hard as I am? That is where it is, right? वो अंदर कहीं है. वो उसको ढूंढना जरूरी है. Good luck with that. I don't know how you'll do that.
So in our house we have a dog.
Yeah.
So when it gets too much, you can see the dog starting to come in between. And that's an indicator for us that
now de-escalate.
Please calm down, take a break.
But all good, Bangalore houses are big enough, you'll fight in one room, your kids won't know also.
जाके 47 में हुआ ऐसे.
Because
पहले it was very small. My daughter thinks we were born like this.
Yeah, that's my parents never let me forget.
Me neither. My daughter thinks we're very poor people.
Dude, I still, I think until I was maybe 20, I didn't know we were rich, bro.
Yeah.
They hid it so well.
It's good.
I do this joke also that I found out how rich my parents were by how much loans they had. Because I was like, इतना loan unsecured तो कोई देगा नहीं तुमको. तो कभी तो पैसा था तुम्हारे पास.
So how bad were relationships getting screwed when you didn't get these fundamentals in place? Because आपने तो सीखा होगा because you're the kind who...
I mean, one of us would just get tired and end it basically.
This is a long-term relationship you've had with your wife?
I think we were together 2 years before we got married.
Okay.
Yeah. Before that, I had another 2.5, 3 year relationship. Uske baad, I was ready to get married at 25. So I was like bouncing from prospective client to prospective client. I was not so much like, I want a romance. I was like, chal shaadi karte, ghar basate fatafat, because I want to get it out of the way. And I feel like it's very, people really overcomplicate it. In the sense, like with my partner, it's very simple, dude. Like, it's like, the question is not so much why this person, the question is who else. You know what I mean? Like, obviously this person. So it's very hard for me to answer questions when she throws me those fucking spin balls like, oh, why do you love me? अरे बाहर why do you love me का क्या जवाब होता है यार? तू 16 साल की थोड़ी है यार. What the fuck is why do you love? I don't know why I love you. I love your shampoo. Fuck off now. Okay, you don't need a reason to love someone. It is a state of being, right? Like it's why do I love you? The chemicals told me. The chemicals are flowing in the right palace. So I love you, and my penis likes you, and it's all good. We're having fun. Catchy, or I have no reason. I still don't have a reason. My wife still once in a while just to mindfuck me, she'll ask me, so why do you love me? And I'm like, fuck off, just go away.
Yeah, my husband just gets up.
Yeah, no?
Like, अरे again.
फिर से दे नहीं होएगा यार. ये कैसा तुम इनसिक्योरिटी लेके घूम रहे हो? चला जाएगा तू. कहाँ जाऊंगा मैं? कहाँ? कोई नहीं लेगा मुझे. घर के डीड पे मेरा नाम है. मैं कहीं नहीं जा रहा हूँ. शायद तुम्हें निकाल दूंगा.
See, वही तो है.
Never happening. Too motivated in life.
God, I can relate with so much.
Yeah, we all have it.
What happens in your body when you experience anxiety?
Well, it seems the heart rate is the big giveaway.
What else do you go through?
For the most part, it's heart rate, shortness of breath, blurry vision, but brighter vision. Everything's much brighter, but everything's much blurrier. And general sense of like massive disorientation. मतलब तुम्हारा जो general, मुझे पता है मेरा चाबी किधर है, पर अब नहीं मिल रहा है. वो वाला सब होने लगता है.
You're constantly searching for something. Yeah.
हाँ, and constantly worried कि कुछ होगा.
Yeah. Is it a bad thing?
I've thought a lot about this. I was doing this documentary about mental health that this guy was making, and he asked me about something similar. He said, do you feel like your mother tongue has the words to explain how you feel? Right? Because that's where it starts, right? Because if you don't have language only to explain the thing, then it can't be a thing. And I realized for generations, we've had aunts and uncles in the family जिनका quote unquote जी घबराता है. Right? वो ऐसे ही है, उनका जी बहुत घबराता है, उनको हर चीज में बहुत, that's anxiety. We had a word for it, right? Instead of labeling it as an illness and putting that person in an out group, we just kept them in the in group and called this a trait as opposed to a dysfunction. So I am also now figuring out कि कौन सा better है. Like, is it better to treat it like an illness and be like, I need to cure this? Because cure तो होगा नहीं, कभी जाएगा नहीं. तुम्हारा हार्डवेयर ही गलत है. क्या करोगे? हार्डवेयर कैसे चेंज करोगे तुम? हाँ, एंड एक तो यू आर यूजिंग अ वेरी आउटडेटेड हार्डवेयर टू रन सॉफ्टवेयर विच इज वेरी न्यू. ओके, योर ब्रेन हैज नॉट इवॉल्व फॉर द लास्ट 20,000 years. मोर और लेस ऊपरा ऊपरी वही चल रहा है दिमाग में. वो उसको समझ में ही नहीं आ रहा है कि एवोल्यूशनरीली स्पीकिंग कि तुम ऐसा सवाना पे चित्ता से लड़ रहे थे और अब तुम गाड़ी डॉज करके क्रॉस कर रहे हो रास्ता. ओके, सो थिंग्स हैव चेंज्ड वेरी क्विकली. Can you imagine like just the idea of moving at 60 kilometers an hour? How many human beings had gone at 60 kilometers an hour before 1940? How, like barely any, right? Like, I mean, so it's a lot to take in and it's not going to go away. और मेरा वो combo है, मेरा depression भी और anxiety भी है. तो दोनों को साथ साथ जगल करने के चक्कर में मेरे को, I don't know, अगर मैं उसको disease की तरह treat करूँ तो कभी जाएगा. It's just something I can manage. But on some level, I feel like maybe treating it like a trait, मतलब basically you're not going to give it the attention it needs either, right? क्योंकि ये तो ऐसा ही है. तो फिर तो कोई सुधार का भी स्कोप नहीं है. जी घबराता है तो घबराता है. अभी हो गई 80 साल की मौसी मर जाएगी एक दिन हार्ट अटैक से. जी घबराता है, उसका क्या करे? पर अगर थोड़ा कोई लोगों के लिए स्पेशली लाइक दे कांट फंक्शन ओनली. आई हैव फैमिली मेंबर्स हु आर लाइक it's impossible and it puts everybody on the edge with them, right? Because they are full of anxiety and that energy sort of especially like when they're kids it's different, but when their parents or an uncle aunt status in the family, then it can really cause shockwaves. पूरा family का दिमाग ये हो जाता है.
Rippling effect.
कुत्ता
भी समझ जाता है.
I think कुत्ता पहले समझता है, घर वाले बाद में.
Actually true है.
Yeah.
When is the right time to seek professional help?
Today. If you have been asking yourself, then now. If the thought has come to you before, then now is the time. Immediately, ASAP, go get professional help. I know it's expensive, that's the problem, and it's a very frustrating process to go through different therapists, you know, until you find your therapist. But when you do, it'll be life changing. Like when I was diagnosed at what, 17, right, just before 12th standard. My parents took me to a psychiatrist. The psychiatrist didn't really want to hear what I had to say. The psychiatrist was more concerned with the prescription, and then they would give therapy. You know what I mean? With and it was the most unnatural, creepy environment in which a 17-year-old could be at that moment, where the doctor would not talk about my things with me. He would talk about it to my parents, even after I was 18. B, there would be one therapist and then one learning assistant therapist lady who would just quietly make notes and not laugh at jokes. And that just fucks with you even more, you know, like this is so unnatural. So then finally, you know, when I found my therapist, so many factors made a difference. You know, we were both Gujarati, made a difference. She came from a family which was in the entertainment industry. So that made a huge difference because she'd seen people around her go through similar problems that I was going through. Not so much that my parents would have ever gone through. And then it became like a much more, it's a very different process, you know, to the point where I ended up recommending her to so many people she couldn't come to my wedding. Because she's like, there's too many patients at your wedding, and then it'll, like, who knows who'll get triggered or whatever. So,
like, you knew so many who were going through anxiety and depression with
what's the I wouldn't, like, I don't think I've done a lot of things I'm proud of, but one thing I'm very proud of is I must have paid for at least 15-20 people's first session of therapy. At least, because that's my general modus operandi, where I will convince them and then I'll be like, it's free. I won't tell them that somebody is paying for it. I'll just tell them it's the first one is free. And then at least they'll go and do the first one. You know, and then if they don't like the therapist, they'll go to another one. But at least they get into that groove of it.
Yeah. So you're one propellant of don't talk about it to let's really talk about this.
Yeah, you have to talk about it. Otherwise, you'll go crazy. Like, how many years? Like, that's why I love comedy, because how many years of my life I spent thinking I was the only one who felt this way. Right? The alienation that comes with it. And the amount it damages your relationships. Because here is one person, like in a child-parent situation, the child thinks they are not understood and the parent thinks that this child is being list off whatever the fuck, you know. And eventually the parent, if they're caring enough, will take it on themselves. So now you've just triggered like this guilt kind of, again, it's not on you, it's their fault if they're doing that. But, you know, like talking about it at least makes it sound real. You know, I'd rather say it out loud. That's like the things I discuss in my comedy, dude. Right now I'm talking about, wanting to wash my ass properly when I take a bath. Like, it's such a niche thing to talk about, right? But like, you should see the eyes of the people in the audience where they're like, yes, I would like to wash my ass properly in the shower. Like, you're like, okay, chalo, at least somebody said how you felt. But it's better out than in, you know. It's all farts.
I have many questions here, but I will come back.
No, go ahead. I can. Bowel movements are my specialty.
Oh, me too.
Yeah. Bowel health is my game. Yeah. I'm a big poop. And all my friends now, when they become friends with me, some of them think I'm a little weird, like initially, where they're like, why is he asking me how my poops are and all that? And now I have friends who call me samne se and they're like, you know what a great shit I had today. And then we'll discuss it and we'll break it down. Not the shit, but like, what did you eat the last day? You know, like what was the quality? So that's you care. Like I genuinely care.
I keep sharing this in my Instagram as well. Like consistency of poop, color
very
of
important,
poop.
Very important.
Length of the poop.
Yeah, length of the poop, to chalo, theek hai, depends on your Kegel exercise.
But the best poop is this long.
No.
Yes.
How can it be this long?
I mean, it won't come in one shot, I think. But then the best poop is this long.
Madam, my bowl does not have the depth to handle a piece that long. I don't know how Bangalore toilets are. Maybe if you had a traditional Indian toilet, there would be space between ass and water enough, like ये 1.5 फुट का जो भी आप दिखा रहे हो. मुंबई में जगह नहीं है.
ये 1.5 फुट थोड़ी है.
नहीं 1.5 फुट तो, पर 1 फुट तो. मैं depends अभी किसका हाथ. Is it according to hand? Is my ideal shit this long? Then it's a very long shit. ये तो सांप है. ये तो.
मेरा एक कुत्ता, when my dog came home, she pooped.
Yeah.
And then the poop got stuck.
Yeah.
And then she started running everywhere around the house scared.
Yeah.
About the poop.
The poop getting stuck. Yeah.
And we are running behind her to get hold of the poop.
But see, the dog is giving the right amount of seriousness to the situation that is ongoing. If you have a half shit, you just get up and go about your day, and next thing you know, you're shitting in your office cubicle.
Yes.
While some dude is fucking, sitting next to you, and it's awkward and all that. So just like focus on that early shit. Like, and people are so against the idea of, I only take, how can you shit 4 times a day? How, you eat 6 times a day. You eat 6 times a day. You do.
4 times aata hai?
Huh? I will shit at least 3 times a day. At least 3 times. I have a morning evening shit.
Oh.
And then I have a third shit, depends like on the day.
But बहुत difficult है फिर.
No, you're not eating enough fiber, bro. And you've trained your body to do that shit.
Yeah,
What animal shits once a day? Name one animal that shits once. One mammal. One. Nobody shits once a day. You can't shit once a day. If your biology is active, you're just leaving that shit in your asshole.
Yeah. 2 valves होते हैं वहाँ पे.
अनजान संडास के डर से लोग अपना टट्टी बिगाड़ रहे हैं.
लड़कियों का यही प्रॉब्लम.
मेरे को पता है.
पूरे इंडिया में किधर है टॉयलेट?
मैं इसी पे तो बिट भी डाला इसके ऊपर पूरा सुसु का 10 मिनट.
और करना है.
हाँ, बट
सरकार को बोलना है थोड़ा. घर में थोड़ी काफी है. Can you ever prevent anxiety from interfering in your life and goals?
Yeah, I mean, you can't see, it's like this. Imagine you have like a pet that comes everywhere. You know what I mean? Like it's gonna be there. You can't make, it's the hutch dog, it's the little pug or whatever. It's gonna be there. The anxiety is there. But like, is it the center focus of the scene or is it just a background character? That's in your hands to some extent. And you can control it with time, So yeah, it doesn't have to be. Like right now I'm anxious. I have anxiety right now as well, right? Yeah. But like, पर चल रहा है ना दुकान.
अच्छा, अब थोड़ा myths of anxiety के बारे में before we start off, okay? Anxiety is nothing but nervousness.
Yes and no, it is nervousness, but like that's what I'm trying to say. It's like it's nervousness beyond, like it's the same feeling, but it's blown out of proportion, right? Like imagine if you bang your shin into the table, you're mad, right? But imagine if you bang your shin into the table and your reaction is to take an axe and kill your family. It's a very out of proportion reaction to what has just happened. So it's the same thing. It is nervousness, but that's the amplifier is wrong. So it's getting amplified way more than it needs to be. What teenagers happens a lot with teenagers, you will know better than anyone, is any small thing happens in their life, they think it's the end of the world, right? Imagine feeling that as an adult. It sucks because you know that it's not the end of the world, and yet you have to sit through that feeling irrespective.
I had a combination of burnout and anxiety. I told you, when burnout was from work.
Yeah.
And then I came out, and when you're taking money from your own savings, it really makes you, there's a fear. Kal kya hoga?
Yeah.
That fear comes to really, I don't know, it becomes so much bigger.
My habit is to keep, this is stupid, but I keep looking at my bank account every day and my savings every day. And I see that number and just like, I'm like, you know what? आज मैं कंप्यूटर गेम खेल सकता हूँ. इतना तो है. कल तक ऐसा कुछ नहीं होने वाला है. Next day morning I see after yesterday's Swiggy bills what is the amount and I'm like okay काम पे चलो.
Swiggy, Zomato and Uber.
Yeah, they really ruin you. Yeah, they ruin you though.
Yeah.
Ola is also quite food. When we moved out recently out of our house 2 months ago. And my wife is currently working on some projects. So she has very little time in the day. She's a screenwriter. So I end up cooking now both times. Or at least one time. If not both times. And she'll help in the kitchen. I am fucking loving cooking, dude. It's one of the best things in the world. Because especially for the anxiety, it's a controlled anxiety. Like I am so worried that the masala will burn or the fish will be undercooked or the chicken will be overcooked. But there is such a clear solution to it, like oh yes, you can panic or you can just add some water, deglaze the masala and you're good to go. So it's find your things. Finding your things is so important.
Anxiety is all in the head.
I mean, isn't mental illness in the head? Like
is it not in your gut also?
It is. No, it's everywhere. It's a visceral body reaction, dude. Like your stomach can get tight and your heart can race and yeah, I mean, right now when we're worried about heart attacks more than ever after the pandemic, left, right and center, you see people dying of heart attacks or strokes or hemorrhages or aneurysms. And so then, like when you're prone to panic attacks and you have cholesterol, life is a living hell. Because every time your heart rate goes up, you're so terrified of letting it go too high. And then what if this leads to a heart attack? And, so yeah, think of it as like the government, like the seat is in the brain, but the tendrils reach out towards every corner of the being, right? So it's like that. It's like
anxiety disorders are obvious to notice.
Depends, yeah. Some people are better at managing it than others, you know. So with some people, like especially जिनका जी घबराता है, उनका तो तुम्हें दिखेगा ही, क्योंकि उनको किसी ने बोला नहीं ना ये गलत है. So they are themselves.
Yeah.
But a lot of people will hide their anxiety. But yeah, there are telltale signs. I mean, especially the sweat, especially the flub. You know, I mean, again, it's like look up from your phone now. Like, just look up from your phone now. Look at the person's face for 30 seconds. Look, just fucking don't look at your phone. Just look at the face. You'll tell if the person is in distress. You know what I mean? It's not that hard. It's just that you don't want to look at anyone's eyes anymore. So just that.
Connections.
हाँ, कनेक्शन फील तो होता है ना. अगर 4 लोग कमरे में, एक जन को बहुत भारी एंजाइटी हो रहा है, तो अगर बाकी 3 लोग ध्यान दे रहे हैं ना, तो दिखेगा यार कि उसको एंजाइटी हो रहा है. बॉडी पोस्चर से लेके कॉन्वर्सेशनली, फेशियल फीचर्स, सब कुछ चेंज हो जाता है.
सही. अभी आप कंफर्टेबल हो?
I'm in the turtle pose still. It'll open up. Like this is the last this thing of. But it'll open. चाय आएगा फिर और दिमाग खुलेगा.
People with anxiety should avoid stressful situations. इसमें और बात करना है आपके लाइफ के बारे में, but these are more myths.
नहीं, मैं तो उल्टा किया.
हाँ, वही तो, इसलिए.
मैं तो उल्टा किया. मैं तो इतना एंजाइटी था कि मैं टूर पे चला गया.
हाँ.
और I was on tour for what 25 days back in 2015. That was my first ever tour. I did a tour before I had an audience also. Or before there was really a comedy scene as such in movie.
Like you went on a tour before you even had a...
Yeah, I was doing open mics and all. I started from Bangalore actually. I think it was 15th of May 2015 I landed here. Monday night. Went to friend's house in Kormangla, who I had met maybe twice in my life. Full anxiety. Went, they were so nice and accepting and sweet and went there. कोई भी Bangalore में नहीं था उधर से. Anyway, I'll get distracted if I say. But what was I saying? So first time I came, and that Monday night I went to an open mic, and it was what helped me was the comedy aspect. Like all this uncomfortability, end में तेरे को stage पे चढ़ने मिलेगा. तो देख ले, like that's the equation. Are you willing to pay the price? And in my head I registered that as the price. The price of doing what you want to do is the fucking most uncomfortable you'll ever feel in your life. Yeah. So do you want to still do it? Yeah. If not, then go back to law school and continue law school. Na? Nobody's gonna say, oh my god, Akash, what a loser, became a lawyer. Like that's never gonna happen. Yeah. And not that I cared that much about what people thought anyway. My parents would certainly be happier. Yeah. But like then the idea was clear ki like this one thing gives me enough joy to last me a lifetime. So I'll keep doing this instead. Yeah. So even now with the traveling, there's so much anxiety. There's so many situations. My own marriage, I was saying I wasn't anxious or what. Like, but then that's what you work on. Yeah. Think of it as like, should someone with liver cirrhosis avoid drinking? Yes. You know what I mean? But should someone with depression avoid drinking? Yes and no. Right? Like it's like the same as अगर हाथ टूटा है तो दारू पी सकता है कि नहीं? मतलब direct connection नहीं है, but direct connection है भी. You know, you will have way more scar tissue in your system because the body can't heal probably because you are drinking alcohol. So similar with the depression. Where I have depression, can I drink? Yes, but with that caveat of whoa, let's slow down today. Or like when life is very tumultuous or I'm in a low period, then I know that then that drinking is not fun with friends. That is self-destructive. रात को bed के bottle खत्म करेगा वाला drinking, which is not helping anyone. So yeah, put yourself in situations, but go live your life.
Medication is the only cure?
No, therapy. I am a living example. Medication is not the only cure. In fact, most people try to self-medicate and that is the bigger problem. So don't medicate. Some people, medication is the only cure. Again, it depends on how miscalibrated your instruments are. You know, some people's, like Abhi, now, you know, so many of my friends right now have ADHD, diagnosed ADHD, right? And somebody very close to me, so she's like sort of my mentor, she was telling me this story about her ADHD where she started off with a certain dose of medication and she used to function with it and she used to think this is it. Now my life will be this. And then she started going to the gym. Somehow something happened and she started working out every day, 45 minutes, 1 hour every day. And within the next 6 months, her dosage went down to 1/3 of what she was taking earlier because the exercise was helping with the ADHD. So yes, medication is necessary, but like thoroughly explore your options, because at the end of the day यार वो दवाई है ना कुछ तो रहेगा उसमें गड़बड़. That like anything that's a quick fix solution is bound to have a problem.
मेरे को बचपन में हॉकी था, बाद में I took up archery, then I took up long distance cycling and walking. Now I've taken up shooting. थोड़ा गड़बड़ है ऊपर.
As a kid, I used to shoot. I used to go to Maharashtra Rifle Association. Still a life member actually, but after
teaches you a lot of
focusing, no? Yeah. Yes. For me, video games were that. Because my hands are busy.
Yeah.
You know,
and your mind is also.
And my mind is sort of there, so it leaves me room to just think of things.
True.
That really helped. So find your thing, you know. Yeah. I had a friend who had just the worst bout of depression when he was around 12 years old or something, and then did medication. Now I think he's 42 now, 41 now, and all the way up to his late 30s they kept trying different medications. Nothing worked. Finally in his late 30s he went to Israel or somewhere, I think Israel only, and he got some magnetic treatment done in his brain, where they give magnetic waves to the right parts of the brain or something, or they attach a device that puts some magnet or something, and went away overnight. And he was fine overnight. Overnight. Like next day he was fine. So, you know, it's such a different journey for everybody. Yeah. You know? And he's in the kind of job also where he cannot have emotional swings. Yeah. He's in a very high stress job. So, he's in a very high stress job, which involves a lot of very violent elements at times. So he cannot lose his head at any point.
Curious है, क्या job है?
वो बताता हूँ उसके बाद में.
अच्छा. हाँ. Anxiety is a chemical locha. Anxiety is chemical locha in the brain. What is chemical locha?
It's a line from Munna Bhai. है ना? Munna Bhai में था ना chemical locha.
Oh, it fucks up your brain.
I'm just gonna get chai. You keep watching. Is it a chemical locha? In the most rudimentary sense, yes, it is a chemical locha. But don't let Munna Bhai explain it to you. Like, Google it, no yaar. Like, why are you in this generation when you can fucking find out whether Aishwarya Rai is having a divorce or not in one Google? You can't fucking find this out or what? Don't waste.
She?
Huh?
Is she?
I don't know. I don't Google.
Anxiety happens to kids from broken family.
As far as I know, my parents are still together. Very much in love. And old and grumpy. But very unwilling to live without each other. I don't think that's a thing. But I have noticed that if you really sit to mark it out, everyone has something. You know what I mean? Like, everyone has something. Every family has something. Yeah. Right? So, not just in terms of mental illness, but issues, right? Like, you love your family, but let's be honest, you also hate your family. And there is a reason for that. There's years of trauma and whatever layering and whatever has gone on. So, like, nobody's family is perfect. I don't think it's a right call to say anything about the family basis, this thing, or the upbringing. Like, I mean, my parents were great, dude. Like, they did their best. I mean, I know more than ever now that they did their best.
Yeah.
Now I have a nephew and I see how he's being raised. And I'm like, okay, so many things to learn. And so much of it is out of your control as a parent. Yeah. So like, I mean, what parent would not do their best? Yeah. You know? But it's not about what your intention is in life, you know, like karma comes from intention, but like real world effects come from real world effects.
Yeah. So weak people have anxiety.
Nah, I don't think so. I think everybody has anxiety. I think somebody who's too macho is probably compensating for something. You know what I mean? It's like jitna lamba gaadi utna chota land. So it's like that. So
बोल दिया.
दूसरी बार बोला, पहले बोल दिया मैं लड़ी. आपको पता भी नहीं चला. I am a ninja dick. ऐसे. I just slip it in and nobody notices.
ये गोल कैसे आया कि हर कॉन्टिनेंट में बोलना है मेरे को?
Because it's so arbitrary, no? Like, अगर गोली बनाना है तो arbitrary बनाओ ना. क्या point है जिंदगी का? Life is meaningless, boss. It doesn't matter. What other lofty goal should I have? What's worth it? How is my goal any less arbitrary than the next guy's goal? We'll all be dust in fucking 1,000 years. So it's fine only. What? Alexander the Great won the world. Now he's one line in a textbook, bro. Like, okay, don't tell me that there is some greatness I can achieve or some shit. Land is as good a goal as any. I'm so close, you know.
कभी audience ने react किया है?
Always, like, I mean, I've gotten the entire range of reactions from people, from absolutely negative to positive, everything I've gotten from people. I think some people see what I'm trying to do. My whole thing with the land thing is that you can't let quality of language trump message. That's the logic. Okay, like मैं 10 बार लंड बोलेगा पर उसके बीच में कोई logic है. And if you just fucking stop freaking out, then by the 8th lund you'll stop noticing the lund also. Like, right? It's just so smooth, it goes away.
Yeah.
You just realize, oh, that's how he talks. Like, you know, you go to Surat, people cuss a lot when they talk in Surat. That's the culture there, na? तो वो culture है, तो क्या problem है ना? So it's more from that kind of POV. Like, especially the special I put out most recently in July was Nasty. It's a sex education show. And how do you do sex education without saying London truth, dude? Like, it's you know what I mean? Like, oh, you got penis and vagina. Okay, let's give it more. You know, none of it is dirty. Like, the idea is that this language is dirty.
Yeah.
But how is it dirty? You know what I mean? Like, like I think unemployment is way dirtier than someone saying Lund.
I worked abroad most of the time or with clients abroad. So उनका language बहुत polish होता है, especially posh and all that. You avoid all this. And then I got into sales. I won't tell the company's name, but when I got into sales,
sales में तो सब गाली सुना होगा.
नहीं बाहर आके जब सुट्टा मारते हैं तब बोलते हैं अच्छा एक बात बोलो सौजन्या वो थोड़ा छुतिया है. And I used to ask meaning क्या है. I started from there. So आज I was like asking them उसका meaning क्या है? Is it
थोड़ा छुतिया? थोड़ा छुतिया means little छुतिया, not too much, but little bit.
No. Today I was asking them about Lund. What is Lund? The meaning of Lund.
You don't know what Lund meant?
Huh?
Ling.
Now I know.
Now you know.
You know, I wanted to introduce and say, आकाश मेरा हिंदी थोड़ा गड़बड़ है. लिंग का प्रॉब्लम है, पर लिंग का हर जगह पे प्रॉब्लम ही होता है.
वाह.
And then my husband said, थोड़ा गड़बड़ हो जाएगा ऐसे बोलते वक्त.
There is, like, the penis is such a happy organ, dude. In that sense, no? If I compare the two, you know, vaginas have all this stuff going on.
Yeah.
You know, penises are just happy to be there. Like, that's the quintessential dog of the organ world. You know what I mean? They're just like, it's just so, थोड़ा pet किया तो खुश हो जाता. Like, it's a puppy, dude. It's not even a dick at some point.
It's like the 10th grade का पूरा chapter है about vagina and the penis.
Sex education chapter, no? We had that in 9th standard. Prasad sir.
Nuns convent का school था, so it was like very.
जितना late हो सके उतना.
It was like just turn the pages. But with my daughter, we sat and read through the whole thing. And we were like, oh. तो gamer कैसे बने आप?
पूरा जिंदगी तो था नहीं. I had decent computers growing up, but I used to like games because it's like a separate reality, no? Like, it's a more controllable space. That's why you play city builders. If I play any Sim City or something, I turn natural disasters off. I don't want anything. I don't want any sudden fucking volcano in the middle. No. ये ऐसा ही चलेगा. ये अच्छा है. कोई कुछ नहीं होगा इस दुनिया में. No crime. Like, just everything is easy. So that's how it usually starts, and then I think it really became a part of my writing process because a lot of my creative process in general is subconscious. I don't do it consciously, which is how I retain sort of the flavor of what I do. तो वो उसमें मतलब gaming really helps because like fingers are busy. It's actually, I realized very recently, this year only in fact, that I can also replace gaming with fishing.
Oh, with fishing?
Yes, because it's the same thing.
Focus.
Same thing, yeah. Your entire body is involved in the process.
Yes.
And if you start thinking about something else, then this will go badly.
Yes.
So to reach that lull point in the brain, you know, where it's just like white noise now and you're just playing, that's when the ideas come.
Yeah.
Then you pause and you're like, Another thing is I never wrote down anything. I don't write down any of my jokes.
तो याद कैसे रहता है?
मेरा नौकरी है.
मेरा वो प्रॉब्लम है. याद नहीं रहता है.
मेरे को नाम बीम कुछ नहीं याद रहता है. मेरे को ये लोग किसी का नाम नहीं याद. कुछ नहीं, सब गया मेमोरी से. मैं स्टेज पे क्या बोलता हूँ मेरे को याद नहीं है. When I get off, memory I don't waste on these things. My entire memory is outsourced to the cell phone, to the calendar and to the whatever the hell, you know. That's why today you asked when is the show. I had no idea when the show is. That knows. There's a server somewhere that knows. I don't know this information. I try and play it by the ball, like just because it's also about managing the anxiety ना, क्योंकि अगर अभी कुछ शाम को होने वाला है उसके बारे में मेरे को अभी से एंग्जाइटी होएगा, उससे अच्छा मैं नहीं सोचूं उसके बारे में.
सही है.
तो मैं कभी कोई नया वेन्यू पे शो करता है ना, तो मैं वेन्यू का फोटो ही नहीं देखता. मैं let me go there and find out. Otherwise on my way there I'll be like, oh shit,
सोचा था डाला कुछ
और फिर कुछ और ही होगा, हमेशा कुछ और ही होगा. तुमने सोचा उससे तो फिर और भी तुम्हारा माइंड फक हो जाएगा.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल. मेरा द लास्ट स्टिंट इन माय आई थिंक सबसे दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा आदमी was on the stage and then I had to speak. तो मैं स्टेज पे गई, पूरा व्हाइट वाला टॉप पहना था, अंदर का स्ट्रैप
अच्छा बाहर आ गया. हाँ,
तो मैं चल रही हूँ, इसके बारे में सोचा नहीं था. अब पूरा स्पीच याद रखा था, प्रेजेंटेशन याद रखा था, सारे सीईओज है कंपनी के, कुछ 500 सीईओज बैठे हैं और ये तो स्ट्रैप ढीला होके जा रहा है, खींच रहा है, फिर से जा रहा है, फिर से खींच रहा है. मैल फंक्शन इतनी हुई कि बहुत स्ट्रेस हुई, लाइंस भूल गए.
ओह शिट. हाँ,
फिर थोड़ा शांत हुए. एक दोस्त था मेरा, उसको देखा तो बोली थोड़ा स्माइल कर तू, एंड देन आई कंटिन्यूड. But that's how, to your point, you can never guess what will happen.
I think the hard part about what people compare us to, to public speaking, it's not that. Yeah. What we do is not that. Yeah. What we do is not theater either. What we do is not acting for camera either. Yeah. We don't have a fourth wall. Yeah. If I forget a line, I'll tell them, "Hey, क्या बात कर रहा था?" मैं बोल देगा, ऑडियंस को पूछ लेगा मैं. You know what I mean? Like I तो like अभी ये चाय का निशान है. Bless me if I remember to get it out, but if I don't and I go to a show with it there, if I notice it on stage, I'll talk about it. Yeah. I to let my brain go.
So one of the questions I had was, you've traveled everywhere in India. This is not like a tier 1 city problem. This is more across India. Have you observed it that way, or am I just...
हाँ, नहीं माताजी चिढ़ती है उधर तो.
हाँ.
या तो फिर दौरे पड़ते हैं. Like there's no word, like there's really no थोड़ा off है लड़का. I feel worse for the autistic kids. They get the worst of it. I think it's possible to be a high functioning depressed person and a high functioning anxious person also, because I've been both in a healthy and an unhealthy way. But I feel really bad for the autism guys, because then nobody knows that it's a spectrum. Nobody knows where that person falls. They spend their entire life being these social out. I know some people within my circles who have it and it's undiagnosed, and it's the same thing. Like it's like the parent का जी घबराता है. अगर उसका parent अभी तक जी घबराने पे है, तो बेटे का autism तो नहीं होने वाला है ना, कैच ही नहीं होगा. माँ बोलेगी नहीं कुछ नहीं, because admitting that the kid has autism is like अभी उसका शादी का prospect ये हो जाएगा वो हो जाएगा. And I think if you need to depend on your whether or not you have autism to get married, you're not worth marrying, bro. Like you not having autism can't be the selling point of you. It can be one of the things that just happen to be about you. So like it's really bad, dude. Kids and people don't realize that when you do open up about this stuff, people will message you and reach out to you everywhere. I had to really sit with my therapist and be like, okay, these people are messaging me saying I want to kill myself. What do I say now?
Yeah.
Because I said it out loud. Yeah. Now these people think that I have a solution, but I really don't have a solution. Yeah, I'm also feeling the same thing. I have my workarounds.
Yes. Figuring out.
Yeah, so then I think that really, my therapist suggested this. Like, you can't be a therapist for somebody. So you can't be like, I'll hold your hand and get you through this. But you can be like, this is what's working for me. Please don't kill yourself. And then there's a limit to what you can do. Don't be what you're not. Like a lot of influencers try to be mental health professionals. They're not. Yeah. There's a reason why you study. But what would an influencer know about fucking working towards a thing? So there's no super specialization for influencer, right? Like there's no they don't understand the value of a surgeon spending 16 years working on their hands to make them good so that they can fucking cut your artery when you eat too much bacon. Yeah. So like they don't understand that as a concept. So online पे तो कुछ भी पेल रहे लोग, किसी को भी कुछ भी advice दे रहे लोग.
What's the role of the society according to you in all this?
I don't think there's much of a social conscience in our country. I don't think, like, we are a very, like, like if you lived in the States, so you know how this is. I don't know, I think it's called the Gene Code or something, the book. I forgot what book had this. But they're talking about high context societies and low context societies, and in how in America, your familial relationships are not very strong. But if your, your social relationships are strong, and they are, like, for example, mummy ke birthday pe nahi kya chalega, but the lawn better be the right height. as the whatever the society stipulates. You know, इधर उल्टा है, right? पर इधर fundamental issue क्या है ना अपने देश में कि there is no division between form and spirit. So everything we go for form, we don't really care about spirit, right? We just care about it should like what are weddings now? Is there anything left in weddings now that was not, you know what I mean? Like, why are there pyrotechnics at a wedding? The pyrotechnic was the original pyrotechnic is there in the middle already. I don't need a fucking sparkler at my wedding. You know, so like we don't care about substance. Like I'll give you the best example of this. So when the girl comes, we did a Bengali style wedding. My wife is Bengali. So she's carried by the 4 brothers on the thing. She doesn't have 4 brothers. She has 4 friends who are close to her, who have been there for her all the time. It's like, inko karne de. And the parents are like, not happening. So, instead of letting the people who are actually people holding her up in life, she can turn to like she would to a brother, it was random tall dudes, whoever they could find. It was my friends. So, like, what was the spirit and what is the form it has taken? It's lost its meaning completely. So I think that is a really big fundamental problem that society plays in our country. अपने इधर कुछ भी सही चल रहा है ना, समाज आके उसको 2 स्टेप पीछे लेके जाता है. And now with the internet, there is no difference. Like I always tell comedians, when you get trolled or whatever, just delete the app for 5 days. Trolls are content creators just like you. They'll move on in 5 days. उनको काम धंधा नहीं है, उनको भी तो चलाना है ना, उनको भी follower बढ़ाना है. They are also in a ladder of success in their organization. So then they don't have time for you.
Their organizations.
Whatever. Yeah. Like, I mean, I don't know what to call it. But like, it's as simple as that. Everyone has an agenda online. And if you treat it like it's real, I still don't treat it like it's real. I keep telling people this all the time. Nobody believes me. But I keep holding up the phone and saying, this is not real. It's not real. It's not real. It's an app. What you're watching this on or listening to this on, it's not real. Okay? It's just a thing. It's a thing we all made, and it's like language. It only exists because we agree that it means something. You know, but you don't have to agree that it means something.
In social media, you can block people, block groups, etc.
Yeah.
In life, it's a little more difficult to block.
Yeah. And that's the biggest difference, no? Like, that's the stakes that I play with, that say my brother who lives abroad doesn't understand. My brother thinks that the trolling is just some 17-year-old kid in Bhopal messaging me and threatening me. It's not. It's probably some 12-year-old in Bhopal who's threatening my family. And the fact that the 12-year-old in Bhopal has the means to find out where my mom works, that is the scary part. It's not the 12-year-old is not, I'm not scared of the 12-year-old. I'll slap that fucker if I ever see him on the street. Okay? But the fact is that now we exist in this world where he has the machinery to really move mountains and fuck me.
Yeah.
That is the problem. Yeah. Or as one might call it, like a law student POV is lack of rule of law. है ना, कल उठ के तुम्हें कोई मार के जाएगा, अगर वो पहचान है उसका तो वो बच जाएगा, तुम उसका कुछ कर नहीं सकते उसके बारे में.
सुप्रीम लीडर भी ऐसा ही,
जिसकी लाठी है ना, तो अभी हुआ ना वो सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट मन.
Last one. Advice for people who are watching this.
Hey, stop watching this. Take a deep breath.
मैं सोची आप बोलेंगे कि
no, I say no great human achievement has been achieved by individuals in silo. Okay, nobody ever did. Alexander the Great had an army that was also great. Okay, that's why he became the great. So don't think that you are in this alone, or other. Yeah, now that I think of 3 steps. First, you are not in this alone by virtue of the fact that I am here. है ना, मैं हूँ इधर, क्या कर रहा है? Second thing, now that you are not in here alone, the solution also is not going to come to you alone. And for you to improve, you are not going to do it without help. Okay? So, that's the nature of who you are. You know what I mean? You might want to be somebody who never needs help, but I mean, fuck off now. This is the body you're born in. You can't be a pigeon and complain that your asshole is always open. Okay? That's just how pigeons are. That's the nature of the being. Admit your environment over your obstacles. And the third thing is that the world does not get changed by one fell swoop. One guy came and did everything and now everything is sorted. I know that if you believe in the right religion, then that's what most religions talk about. One person came and gave the message of God, and yet somehow that one person got, the world didn't get any better, did it? Because it's not about the one person, it's about the rest of us. And the only way the world is going to change is if you're just kinder to the person right next to you. Fuck everybody else. I don't want to see a post about Hamas on your feed. I don't care. Just help the guy outside on the street. That's the only person you can directly impact and make a difference in the life of. Or just talk to your mom. You know, the highest number of suicides basis NCB in 2018 ka last report I saw, highest was not students or farmers, it was housewives. Yeah, housewives. Okay, so like, you know, I know that you want to change the world, but like talk to your mom also once in a while. Right? All your solutions are gonna start at home. You don't like the political party in charge, voter तेरे घर पे बैठा है चोदे. तू बाहर गार्डन में मत जा. गार्डन में जाके प्रोटेस्ट करेगा तेरे दोस्त लोग ही देख रहे ना. Like it's very easy to get into an echo chamber. Don't avoid the echo chamber. Have that freedom and just be kinder. That's it. And watch, share, subscribe, whatever. This podcast, very important.
Thank you. Akash, thank you so much.
Not at all, yeah.
You know, from the whole attitude of Chalte Bano, this is part of life, to let's talk about it.
Yeah.
You motivated me to bring this as a conversation.
I'm glad.
And you made it so easy. It was just a cold message. There was no bhav, there was no follow-up of how many subscribers, nothing.
Doesn't matter.
And I felt really comfortable having this conversation. So
I'm glad.
thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah. I really love this. I hope the podcast does well. I hope you get to interview a lot more people.
Yes.
I hope some comedians have foresight and don't act pricey with you. Yeah.
Thank you
It'll be great.
so much.
Not at all.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you. Bye. Bye.